Once upon a time, in a magical land where the trees whispered secrets, there lived a spirited young girl named Little Red Riding Hood. With her dazzling red cloak, a gift from her beloved grandmother, she was the very picture of bravery and joy. Little Red Riding Hood embarked on a crucial mission given by her mother to deliver sweet cakes and golden honey to her grandmother. But as she journeyed through the enchanting forest, a sense of wonder overtook her. The trees danced in the wind, and the flowers sang melodies only heard in dreams. Then, amidst this enchanted moment, she encountered the wolf, a creature as charismatic as he was cunning.
"Good day, dear child,"
the wolf greeted, his voice smooth as silk, tempting Little Red Riding Hood to stray from the path. Despite her mother's warning, the wolf's tales of hidden gardens and sparkling streams beckoned her. Little Red Riding Hood hesitated, torn between adventure and caution. But with a shake of her head, she held her resolve.
"I must not, my grandmother awaits these treats,"
she declared. Little did she know the wolf had wicked plans brewing in his mind. Racing ahead, the wolf reached grandmother's house first, deceiving her and taking her place in bed, a disguise in place for the final act. As Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she sensed something amiss.
"Grandmother, what big eyes you have!"
she said, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and curiosity. The wolf, unable to contain his growl, revealed himself in a dramatic flourish. Realizing the danger, Little Red Riding Hood called out for help, her voice echoing through the forest. By chance, a kind-hearted woodcutter passing by heard her cries. Rushing to the grandmother's house with an axe in hand, a tense battle ensued between the woodcutter and the wolf. Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood helped her grandmother to safety as the sounds of struggle filled the room. Ultimately, the wolf, realizing he was no match for the woodcutter's bravery, fled into the forest, never to trouble Little Red Riding Hood or her grandmother again. As they gathered together, safe and sound, sharing the treats Red had brought, they reflected on the day's adventures. Little Red Riding Hood learned a valuable lesson that day, the importance of being cautious and listening to the advice of those who care about us. She understood that while the world is full of wonders, it's also home to dangers, and being aware of them is part of growing up. And so, with their hearts full of gratitude and wisdom, they embraced the lessons learned in the forest that day.
Once upon a time, in a lively farm, the animals found themselves without any food to eat. But fear not, for the brave Little Red Hen took matters into her own hands. Determined to find something to eat, she set out on a journey across the field. As she wandered, she came across some wheat grains on the ground, and her eyes sparkled with joy. She decided to plant the wheat, hoping her friends would lend a hand. But alas, one by one, the cow, pig, dog, and duck all refused to help, citing the hot weather as an excuse. Undeterred by their lack of assistance, the hen took it upon herself to plant the wheat. With hard work and perseverance, the wheat began to grow. However, when it came time to clean the wild grass around the sprouts, her friends once again turned her down. But the Little Red Hen didn't give up. She cleaned the grass on her own, nurturing the wheat until it was ready for harvest. When the wheat had ripened, the hen asked her friends to help her harvest the crop, but they all declined. Undaunted, she worked tirelessly, harvesting the wheat kernels by herself. Turning the wheat into flour was the next task at hand, and once again, her friends refused to assist. The hen ground the wheat into flour and decided to bake bread. As the delicious aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the farm, the hen's friends suddenly became eager to partake. But the hen, feeling betrayed by their previous rejections, decided to enjoy the bread on her own. She savoured every bite, realising that sometimes it's okay to enjoy the fruits of your labour by yourself. However, seeing her friends' hungry eyes filled her with compassion. She offered to share her bread with them on the condition that they promised to help her in the future. The farmyard animals, filled with remorse, agreed to her terms. Together, they feasted on the bread, their bellies full and their hearts grateful for the lesson they had learned.
Would you like to hear a magical tale about a brave boy named Jack and his incredible adventure with a towering beanstalk? Once upon a time, in a quaint village, there lived a humble boy named Jack. He resided in a tiny cottage with his loving but impoverished mother. Their only possession of value was a gentle cow named Milky White, who provided them with milk for sustenance. Life was challenging for them, but they managed to get by. One fateful day, Jack's mother noticed that Milky White had ceased giving milk. Desperate for food and money, Jack's mother made a difficult decision. She instructed Jack to take Milky White to the market and sell her to the highest bidder. Jack, a bit reluctant but obedient, set out with the cow on a bright morning. On his way to the market, Jack encountered a mysterious old man bent with age and draped in tattered robe. The old man, who seemed to know more than he let on, approached Jack and offered him a peculiar deal. In exchange for Milky White, the man proposed to give Jack a handful of seemingly ordinary beans. Jack was skeptical, but ultimately agreed to the trade as he saw no other options. Upon returning home with the beans, Jack's mother was livid when she heard of the exchange. She scolded her son for trading their only source of income for what she believed to be worthless beans and threw them out of the window in frustration. Little did they know that these beans were no ordinary beans, but magical ones that held a secret. That night, as the moon cast its silvery light, the discarded beans took root and began to sprout. Incredibly, they grew into a massive beanstalk, reaching higher and higher into the night sky. Jack awoke the next morning to find the towering beanstalk outside his window. Its summit disappeared into the clouds. Curiosity, as it often does, got the better of Jack. He decided to embark on an adventure and climbed the colossal beanstalk. Higher and higher he ascended until he found himself in a world above the clouds, a realm of giants. Amidst the clouds, Jack stumbled upon a colossal castle. With trepidation, he sneaked inside, discovering that the giant who lived there was away. He met the giant's gentle wife, who took pity on him. She hid Jack when her husband returned, a fearsome giant who was as large as the castle itself. This giant, however, possessed extraordinary treasures: a magical goose that laid golden eggs, and a harp that played enchanting melodies on its own. Jack, with the aid of the giant's wife, managed to snatch these treasures while the giant slept soundly. Swiftly, he descended the beanstalk with his newfound riches. Yet as he made his escape, the giant awoke and began to chase him. Jack ascended the beanstalk in haste, and just as he reached the bottom, he grabbed an axe and swung it with all his might. Once the towering beanstalk trembled and crashed to the ground, it took the giant along with it. The ground shook as the beanstalk disappeared forever, leaving Jack and his mother in awe. With the golden eggs and the magical harp in their possession, they were not just comfortable but rich beyond their wildest dreams. They lived in prosperity and happiness, their cottage transformed into a place of abundance and joy. Jack's mother no longer had to worry about making ends meet, and together they enjoyed a life filled with laughter and love.
Once upon a time, in a world not too different from our own, there lived a little duckling who was unlike any other. This duckling was not just any duckling, but an ugly duckling. But don't worry, this story is not just about being different. It's about finding your true beauty and worth no matter what anyone else says. Our story begins on a sunny summer day, where a family of ducks is enjoying their time by the pond. Mother duck is eagerly waiting for her eggs to hatch, excited to meet her little ones. And soon enough, the eggs start cracking, and adorable ducklings emerge, one by one. But wait, there's one more egg that hatches late, and out comes a duckling quite different from the rest. This little duckling may have looked big and ugly to others, but Mother Duck loved him just the same. As they headed to the farm, the other animals were quick to judge the ugly duckling based on his appearance. They were mean and unkind, making fun of him at every turn. But our little duckling had a heart of gold, yearning for acceptance and love. Feeling out of place and misunderstood, the ugly duckling decides to leave the farm and sets off on a journey to find where he truly belongs. Along the way, he faces harsh weather and unkind animals, but he never loses hope. Finally, he finds a serene lake where he can swim freely, embracing his true self. As the seasons change, so does our duckling. From a time of despair and loneliness, he emerges as a graceful and beautiful swan. Yes, you heard that right. The ugly duckling transforms into a magnificent swan, radiating beauty and confidence. And when the other swans welcome him with open wings, he realizes that true beauty lies within. The story of the ugly duckling teaches us an important lesson, that we should never judge others based on their looks. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and true beauty shines from the inside out. So, embrace your uniqueness, just like the ugly duckling did, and you'll find your place in this big, beautiful world.
Once upon a time, in a magical forest, there lived a rabbit who was known for his super speed and big feet. He would prance around, boasting about how he was the fastest animal in the entire forest.
I challenge anyone to a race, I always win.
He would exclaim with pride. But his constant bragging began to annoy the other animals. They grew tired of his arrogance and wished to teach him a lesson. One day, the wise turtle, known for his slow but steady ways, decided it was time to humble the boastful rabbit. The turtle approached the other animals and proposed a race against the rabbit. The animals were skeptical, knowing the rabbit's usual overconfidence, but they agreed, curious to see what would unfold. The next day, at the racecourse, the rabbit arrived, all smug and sure of his victory. The turtle, calm and collected, waited patiently at the starting line. The rabbit couldn't help but laugh at the turtle's audacity to challenge him. As the race began, the rabbit bolted ahead like lightning, leaving the turtle far behind. But as the rabbit looked back to gloat, he saw the turtle steadily making progress. Confident of his lead, the rabbit decided to take a break and enjoy a snack. Little did the rabbit know, while he snoozed under a tree, the turtle kept plodding along. Slowly but surely, the turtle caught up to the rabbit and crossed the finish line unnoticed. When the rabbit awoke, expecting to see the turtle far behind, he was shocked to find himself beaten. The turtle had won the race with his steady pace and determination. The other animals cheered for the humble turtle, lifting him up in celebration. The rabbit stood there in disbelief, realizing the error of his ways. the turtle approached him with a gentle reminder.
It's not just about speed, but about consistency and humility.
From that day on, the rabbit learned to be more modest and respectful. He understood that true strength comes from within, not from bragging or showboating. And so, the rabbit and the turtle both continued their journeys in the forest, wiser and kinder animals than before. The end. Once upon a time, in a cozy village not too far away, there lived a remarkable and charming cat named Puss. Now, don't let Puss's plain appearance fool you. Deep down, he was brimming with cleverness and an unquenchable thirst for adventure. Puss found himself in possession of a worn-out pair of boots after his dear owner, the miller, passed away. But instead of wallowing in despair, Puss saw this as an opportunity to change his fate. With a twinkle of mischief in his eyes, Puss donned the boots and embarked on a journey to seek his fortune. Along the way, he crossed paths with a sly group of rabbits whom he persuaded to join him in his quest. With newfound companions and wealth, Puss reached a nearby town and heard of a grand castle belonging to the fearsome ogre, Goliath. Fear not, my young friends, for Puss was not one to back down from a challenge. With quick thinking and cunning, he hatched a plan to outsmart the ogre and claim the treasures within the castle. Through wit and resourcefulness, Puss managed to outwit Goliath and steal riches beyond imagination. As word of Puss's daring deeds spread, even the king took notice. Impressed by the cunning feline, the king bestowed upon Puss a title and a place of honor at court. But Puss's adventures were far from over. He soon learned of the princess in distress, locked away in a tower guarded by a fierce dragon. Armed with his cleverness and a bag of tricks, Puss fearlessly volunteered to rescue the princess. With his quick wit and charm, Puss outsmarted the dragon and delivered the princess safely to the king. The kingdom rejoiced, celebrating Puss as a true hero. Puss the cat continued his daring escapades, always eager for the next thrilling adventure. With his trusty boots and sharp mind, Puss's story was far from over, filled with excitement and bravery at every turn.